Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. Dylan here. We have a major bombshell today that you do not want to miss. President Trump just made a huge move on Iran. So we are going to be diving into all of the latest updates here and much more. So we're going to dive in, but before we do, we're going to read scripture because God comes first. Amen? Comment amen below if you believe God comes first. And without faith, it is impossible to please God. Because anyone who comes to him must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who earnestly seek him. Amen. So comment amen down below. And my brothers and sisters, congratulations to everyone who has begun investing in the stock market under President Trump. The stock market just hit a new all-time high, so we are celebrating. And this is the best time to get started. We have a free offer linked below. You can sign up, join, or you can scan this QR code and get signed up in a few minutes. Just take out your phone, point it at the screen, click that link, and you can start investing with just a couple of dollars. All right, here we go, guys. Breaking news. U.S. military just eliminated 6 Iranian boats. Let's tune in, my friends. Boom, shakalaka.
Central Command says U.S. forces in the waters off of Iran have now been working to restore safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz. They are implementing the humanitarian project, which President Trump now called Project Freedom. He announced it yesterday. CENTCOM posted this today. As a first step, 2 U.S.-flagged merchant vessels have successfully transited through the Strait of Hormuz and are safely headed on their journey. Iran state-run media this morning claimed the Revolutionary Guard hit a U.S. warship with 2 missiles. CENTCOM said, no, that did not happen. Iran then said it had fired warning shots. Meanwhile, back to the truth, the defense ministry of the UAE says Iran did shoot down, or it had to shoot down 3 missiles offshore as a 4th splashed into the water. We understand those may have come from Iran. Brian Yenis is live for us in Tel Aviv, Israel, with the latest. So, Brian, some breaking news last hour. A lot going on where you are today.
No doubt about it, Harris. And so for the first time since this U.S.-Iran ceasefire was brokered 4 weeks ago, Iran is actually initiating attacks right now. We know that the United Arab Emirates missile defense system is activated. 4 missiles were fired from Iran to the UAE. 3 were shot out of the air, intercepted over the sea. The 4th fell into the water. We also know that Iran has launched drones against the United Arab Emirates, one hitting an oil facility.
So it seems like the ceasefire is fully broken now.
In Fajara, sparking a fire there. 2 other Iranian drones hit an empty oil tanker as it made its way through the Strait of Hormuz. And at this hour, right now, actually, CENTCOM Navy Admiral Brad Cooper is updating reporters on Project Freedom, the humanitarian effort right now to safely guide an estimated 800 cargo ships and tankers and 20,000 crew members out of the strait. Admiral Cooper says that CENTCOM has defeated multiple Iranian ballistic missile launches, drones, and has sunk 6 Iranian small boats this morning. CENTCOM is strongly advising Iranian forces to stay away as it guides ships through what the U.S. is calling an enhanced security area along Oman's territorial waters. So far, at least 2 U.S.-flagged merchant ships have successfully crossed through the strait. Iranian state media, by the way, is now claiming that Iran fired warning shots at U.S. destroyers in the strait. It says that the Strait of Hormuz is its territory and is warning that any American interference will be considered a violation of the ceasefire. Just moments ago, the commander-in-chief of Iran's army posted on X, every inch of these waters is within the range of our will. The American aircraft carriers with the stealth of radar silence imagined that they could approach the Strait of Hormuz, but our response was fire. Cruise missiles and combat drones took to the skies. The security of this region is Iran's red line. Here is U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent responding this morning.
We are saying the Iranians do not have control of the strait. We have absolute control of the strait. We have blockaded the ships going into or out of Iranian ports. Their economy is in free fall, and everyone says they have the high tolerance for pain. Well, their soldiers will not have a high tolerance for not getting paid.
So it does seem like we have breaking news here, my friends. Drop your comments below. Things are escalating in Iran. Here's President Trump speaking. Here's the latest, guys.
can't let them have a nuclear weapon, or you'd have problems like nobody would believe. And it's going very well.
No more Mr. Nice Guy. President Trump telling Trey Yanks the Iranians will be blown off the face of the earth if they attack U.S. vessels that are guiding ships through the Strait of Hormuz as part of his Project Freedom plan. 47 posting on Truth how Iran has taken some shots at a South Korean cargo ship, but the U.S. returned fire. Quote, "We've shot down 7 small boats, or as they like to call them, fast boats. It's all they have left. Other than the South Korean ship, there has been, at this moment, no damage going through the strait." And meanwhile, one Democrat senator seems to be justifying Iran's mission to get a nuclear weapon.
After this attack, and we were negotiating with the Iranians at the time of the attack, and I think they feel that their only defense might be a nuclear weapon. So we've, ironically, I think, given them more reasons to push for a nuclear weapon.
And it does seem like there was just bullets flying near the White House moments ago.
Good evening, I'm Bill Malugin, and this is your Fox News report. The U.S. military sinking 6 small Iranian boats as efforts to reopen the Strait of Hormuz test the ongoing ceasefire. President Trump is threatening to blow Iran, quote, off the face of the earth if U.S. vessels are attacked. Earlier today, 2 American flagged ships did safely make it through the strait. Meanwhile, no relief at the pump. Gas prices hitting $4.
Okay, this, I hate sometimes Fox News. Here we go.
After confronting officers. An armed suspect shot by law enforcement near the Washington Monument after confronting officers. One bystander was hit but is expected to be okay. The White House was briefly put on lockdown. President Trump was hosting an event in the East Room but continued on with that program.
White House on lockdown right now? Holy moly, guys.
We have to prevent that.
Yeah, Jesse, this might be what the Secretary of War meant when he said the greatest adversary would be the congressional Democrats on the Hill and the senators, too.
It was a tremendous display of American.
Yeah, let's listen to President Trump real quick. This is him talking about the strikes on Iran.
You're right. Well, we lost our manufacturing business, and I used to listen to President Obama say, "You'll never get manufacturing back. It's the biggest business in the world if you get it back." And we're heading to that. I think we'll be higher than at any time fairly soon. When these places open, I think we'll be higher than at any time in the history of our country. And we used to be a manufacturing capital. We were the manufacturing capital of the world. And then it got taken away. The chips went to Taiwan. And all they had to do is say, if you sell your product back into the country, there's going to be 100% tariff. And nobody would have left. And, I made a investment. Intel, chip maker, the biggest in the world, and then it got taken away because of bad politics, actually, because the politicians, the presidents, no president protected that industry. So all of a sudden you have this superpower over in Taiwan, but they're coming back. As you know, we have the biggest companies they're pouring into this country. They know that the tariffs go to a certain extent, and then they go up as we go. But I will say that it's so sad to see what's happened, but it makes me so happy to say we're bringing it back. And as sure as you're sitting there, I mean, these are companies that are fully committed. There are many under construction. They're on their way. And when I look at what happened to our country, I used to make speeches as a private person. I always loved politics, but I never thought I'd be doing this. But as a private person doing well, I used to just marvel at the fact that the car companies were leaving Detroit and leaving our country at levels that was just, I say, you're not going to have any cars soon if you don't do something. And all they had to do is say, you can leave our country, you can have lots of fun building your cars, but if you think you're going to sell it back into our country for no cost, you're wrong. But nobody said that. Not one president, even presidents I liked, but they were bad on trade. You've never had a good president on trade. And now you do, and we're bringing them back at levels never seen before. So we're going to have something. And as far as small business is concerned, you are really the driver. I love that story because that's the kind of story that half of the people, I'm not sure about all of them, I'm not sure about Rick, but most of the people in this room would have thought of that. They would have said, well, what about surfacing that stone, that existing stone? But it's just, one example. It's such a great one because it's massive amounts of money and time and a disaster of construction for years. They'll be building and building and building, a mess. What common sense is all about. And you people, more than anything, I know you all indirectly. If I don't know you, I still know you. But the fact is, it's common sense. And if you didn't have common sense, you would not have a good business, and you wouldn't have a good small business, big business, or any other business. So I just want to congratulate Mark. I want to congratulate. It's a great tribute, really. You've done an amazing job. But I want to congratulate everybody in the room. You're fantastic people. And we are really, this is the golden age of America. I really believe it. Last year, we were scoffed at. I tell the story often that the king of Saudi Arabia, a year and a half ago when I was over there, he said, you know, America was a dead country. We didn't think we'd be investing. We didn't think it would be appropriate to invest there. We were a dead country. And now, President, you have the hottest country anywhere in the world. That was 7 or 8 months ago. We're a lot hotter than we were then. We had to do this little excursion, but the excursion is, with the stock market's higher now than it was when I assumed the market would be down 25%, and that was worth it to get rid of lunatics that would have nuclear weapons that can wipe out countries with the push of a button. You can't do that. So I had to do it because it should have been done 47 years. It should have been done by many presidents or other countries. Should have been done a long time ago, but we're doing it, and we have no choice, and I'm very proud to be doing it. But the amazing thing, I thought we'd be down 20-25%. I thought the market would be down. The market's at new highs, despite all of it. And so the market is genius, and they see what's happening, and they get it. But I just want to say it's an honor to be with you. And
yeah, if you haven't started investing yet in the stock market, I highly recommend just, getting started. There's a totally free way to get started. Right now, we've never had this before. We have a free link below where you can download the app. And now I created a tutorial that you can also watch to get started. Link below. Or if you're watching this on your TV or on your computer or tablet, you can take out your cell phone camera app, point it at the screen, and scan it. And it'll pop up a link there too.
Military muscle and resolve. Unblocking the strait while we maintain the blockade, that's going to really bring their negotiating team to its knees. It also unlocks all of this pent-up cargo and energy out of there. And we did it without boots on the ground. And we did it without any Asian or European allies, so you're welcome. Mm-hmm. We basically sailed multiple guided missile destroyers straight through the gap. We demined this little safe passage along the coast of Oman. And this is not like a one-to-one escort situation. We've created an entire defensive umbrella around the Gulf with anti-missile defense systems, helicopters, fighter jets, drones with about 15,000 service members, and we've already got 2 U.S. flagged vessels out of there safely. This is a defensive operation. We don't fire until fired upon. They fired first. They broke the ceasefire, and it didn't go very well for them. 6 of their fast boats from the Mosquito fleet wasted by Apaches and Seacraft helicopters, and then also a bunch of missiles and drones they shot out, all of them intercepted. They threw some missiles over to our buddies at the UAE. Almost all of them intercepted. There's a small fire at an export terminal. I think it's going to be okay. But if Iran continues to escalate, we can climb the escalation ladder. We can do it all day. It's not going to end well for them. Right now, Operation or Project Freedom looks really savvy, sophisticated, and the oil markets are going to love it. This corners their negotiating team, and it will really put the president in a great position when he goes to Beijing in about 10 days.
All right, so good position on the world stage, Kellyanne, but for some reason, Democrats still aren't on board and continue taking Iran's side.
Yeah, they're turning into the anti-Israel, un-American, pro-Iran party. And if you don't believe me, listen to them. Jack Reed has probably been in public office. He's probably been a politician all 47 years that everyone else looked the other way on Iran. And look, this Harvard-Harris poll is very important because they're asking the right questions, not these dopey questions. Do you like bombs? Do you like war? Duh. They're asking, 74% is saying USA is winning the war in Iran because they're getting updates like this from our commander-in-chief. They can pull up the graphs themselves. This is not secret information. It's transparent. We're watching it in real time. Another 74% say Iran should not have nukes. People are worried that a country that chanted death to America loudly for decades, if they had a nuke, they would visit death to America. And people know that. So the Democrats need to get on board here, especially while we've got folks over there and especially while we're at war with Iran. They can question it. They can say we don't want to fund it. They can say you're exceeding the war powers. They can say whatever they want. But what they're saying, Emily, is so harmful to the good work that we're doing there and to stopping and to actually President Trump doing the job of 6 or 7 presidents who said Iran and 50 presidential candidates, Iran can never have a nuclear weapon. We tried everything. Diplomacy, coddling them, cudgeling them, giving them pallets of cash, threatening them, JCPOA. We tried everything, and yet Iran was this close to getting a nuclear device anyway. We can't have enriching uranium, and give President Trump his due. The Democrats should. He has been absolutely consistent on the central premise and the rationale for doing this. And it's to prevent Iran from getting a nuclear device. Is Jack Reed going to go back on a Friendly Sunday show 5 years from now and say, oops, this president, whoever that is, now has to deal with getting the nukes out of Iran's hands? And last point, it's not that long ago, and we all remember it. Barack Obama had his red line in Syria. No, he didn't. He wimped out. He totally cratered. He said if there's any kind of chemical weapon, Assad unleashes chemical weapons against his people. 1,400 people die. And instead of that being a red line, Obama goes and negotiates with Putin. Hillary Clinton, the stupid red button diplomacy, stole it out of a board game, I guess, a dime store, dollar store. And she presents it to Russia's Lavrov and says, we're going to reset. You know what Donald Trump's red line is? Iran getting a nuclear device. This is what peace through strength, and I want to tell my friends on the right who have a problem with this war, remember, peace through strength also includes the strength part. We have to show our military might and muscle sometimes to make sure that we secure the peace.
That's a very, very good point, and we do have a little bit of a new warning threat. Trump just makes a new threat to Iran. Let's listen in, guys. I'm giving you guys all of the latest updates here. I know it's a lot going on, but hey, we gotta listen up to the news, guys. First and foremost.
Harris, we'll take it from there. Top of the new hour, the temperature in the Middle East is rising again after the UAE said Iran fired 4 missiles towards it this morning. And moments ago, President Trump speaking to Fox on the situation in the Strait. So we've got breaking news to top the hour for you. Hello and welcome, everyone. I'm Sandra Smith. Larry Kudlow is in for John Roberts and will join us here shortly. This is America Report. So let's get right to the news. And Trey Yingst, he's got that for us. Trey just spoke with President Trump moments ago. He's live from Tel Aviv for us. Hello, Trey.
Sandra, good afternoon. I spoke with President Trump for 20 minutes about the situation with Iran. He talked about Project Freedom and the U.S. efforts to guide vessels through the Strait of Hormuz, issuing a new warning to the Iranian regime, saying if the Iranians try to target U.S. ships in this area, they will be, quote, blown off the face of the earth. Remember, this was a project implemented by the Americans overnight to assist the hundreds of vessels that are currently trapped in the Persian Gulf. We're talking about more than 20,000 sailors. And the president told Fox he's doing this for humanity. Some of these sailors were running out of food and supplies on these vessels due to the Iranian threats that are ongoing in this area. And again, the president saying that if U.S. ships in the region are targeted, the Iranians will be blown off the face of the earth. Now, I also asked President Trump about the possibility of negotiations with Iran succeeding. He said the Iranians are being far more malleable than they were being in the past, showing flexibility given the U.S. pressure that continues as part of the American blockade of Iranian ports. President Trump called that blockade the greatest military maneuver in history. As it relates to the combat preparations that continue across the region, President Trump understands there are two paths here. The Iranians either make a good faith deal or ultimately combat operations could resume. And President Trump told Fox News that right now they have bases all over the world. There are American preparations underway. He said they're all stocked with equipment and we can use all of that stuff and if he needs it, he will use it. But the headline here, Sandra, the president issuing a new warning to the Iranian regime if they do fire on U.S. vessels in the Persian Gulf or near the Strait of Hormuz. And today we can report, according to CENTCOM Commander Admiral Brad Cooper, there were multiple attempts on American vessels and merchant ships in this region. And Cooper says that there were U.S. efforts to shoot down both missiles and drones in the Persian Gulf as these Iranian efforts to attack vessels in the region continue. Sandra?
All right. So, Trey, is it fair to say you got a sense of optimism as this continues from President Trump in that phone call?
Yeah, absolutely. The president is in charge here in terms of not only the negotiating table, but also the U.S. military posture across the region. You have the excellence of the U.S. Navy on display here. And the president even talked about how just 2 weeks ago, there was that vessel that tried to break through the U.S. blockade, and ultimately American forces fired into the engine room after giving the vessel 4 separate warnings, and it stopped that vessel in its tracks. And this is a display of what will happen if the Iranians try to test the U.S. blockade. So far, it's been quite successful in stopping these vessels, specifically from Iranian ports. Remember, this is very important to note here. The United States is not trying to stop any sort of merchant vessels who are going through the Strait of Hormuz. They're actually trying to help these vessels make their way through this area despite the Iranian threats. It's the vessels that are coming from Iranian ports that are being stopped. And we're talking about a lot of oil that is currently in the Persian Gulf that now the United States has control over when and where it moves. And the president talked about this as well. The Iranians tried to put pressure on the United States and the military in the region, and their plan backfired. And ultimately, that led to President Trump controlling the Strait of Hormuz. And that is what we are seeing right now. Iranian ports are totally stopped at this moment. They cannot move vessels out through the Strait of Hormuz due to the U.S. Navy blockade. And the president now is issuing this new warning to the Iranian regime if they try to escalate in the Persian Gulf.
This is what Trump said.
You better go out and buy stock now. Let me tell you, this country will be like a rocket ship that goes straight up. This is going to be numbers that nobody's ever seen before. Rising market will do. Oh, it's going to get a lot higher.
I've been investing heavily into the stock market. My small little investment now has returned over $30,000. One of you guys even messaged me saying that you're up over 13 grand. President Trump even said the markets are gonna boom and the stock is gonna boom. And right now, for the first time, we have totally free access for you guys to sign up to start investing. You don't need any money at all to begin. It's totally free. Now, if you're watching this on your TV, you can open up your camera app and point it at the screen, and it will actually pop up a little link on your phone. You can click it and then get started. But if you're watching this on your phone, just go ahead and sign up on the link below. It's the same exact thing. Very interesting what's going on with this in Iran, because it seems like Iran made a very, very poor choice, and that's really quite what we're learning here. And this is the latest updates here. So let's listen in to the latest news here, my friends.
Central Command has just initiated Operation Project Freedom. The mission, unblock the strait. The president says if Iran interferes, it's a death sentence.
I spoke with President Trump for 20 minutes about the situation with Iran. He talked about Project Freedom and the U.S. efforts to guide vessels through the Strait of Hormuz, issuing a new warning to the Iranian regime, saying if the Iranians try to target U.S. ships in this area, they will be, quote, blown off the face of the earth.
Iran's Mosquito fleet tried to test the operation, and they got wasted by attack helicopters.
We have an enormous amount of capability and firepower concentrated in and around the strait, including A-864 Apache and M-860 Seahawk helicopters, used just this morning to eliminate 6 Iranian small boats threatening commercial shipping.
15,000 American service members are supporting Project Freedom. Multiple U.S. guided missile destroyers sailed right up into the strait and are now operating with impunity in the Persian Gulf. 2 carrier strike groups are not only providing support to clear the strait, they're also pulling blockade duty. And they're packed to the brim with over 100 land and sea aircraft on deck, including fleets of Warthogs, F-15s, F-18s, F-35s, and Growlers. The Pentagon has assembled a massive amount of firepower dedicated to unlocking the choke point.
The Mosquito Navy is being swatted. Numerous ships, maybe in double digits have been destroyed. And the U.S., we are just firing if fired upon. We are not the provocateurs here. But if the Iranians want to escalate here, we are willing to escalate.
So this is clearly a test of Iran as well as we speak, correct?
It is a test of Iran. But, Bill, again, this is a ragtag band of pirates.
This isn't an offensive operation. This is purely defensive. And we have a secret weapon, R2-D2.
The United States Navy has a tremendous ship defense. We have the Aegis missile defense system to get incoming missiles, and then we have the Sea-Wiz, the close-in weapon system. They call it the R2-D2 of death because it looks like the small character from the Star Wars movies with a giant machine gun that shoots 2,000 rounds a minute. And so we have enormous defenses to protect against the missiles coming into U.S. ships.
If it flies, it dies. We created a defensive umbrella around the whole waterway, basically an iron dome over Hormuz.
That dome defense will make certain that anything fired that penetrates through the layered defense will be defeated, that fast boats that come out and try to intervene will be defeated, that anything on the surface like a fast boat or actually below the surface will be defeated, that anything coming from the land, maybe a shoulder-fired missile or something like that, would be defeated. That's the dome defense.
There have been over 1,000 commercial vessels that have been stranded in the Gulf since the start of the war, including 5 American-flagged ships. 2 of them sailed right through today. The Hormuz Dome did its job. And the goal is for ships to leave and return safely, back and forth, back and forth. We aren't just doing the ship-to-ship escorts, though. This is a much bigger and more efficient operation. We've demined a safe passageway for commercial vessels to transit out of the strait, and we're knocking down any threat to freedom of navigation. We're assuming the risk here. But the president's also setting an example for other countries. The president said this, quote, Iran has taken some shots at unrelated nations with respect to the ship movement, Project Freedom, including a South Korean cargo ship. Perhaps it's time for South Korea to come and join the mission. The Iranians launched a few drones and missiles at our Navy and foreign vessels, but everything was intercepted. And since then, the enemy stood down. The Mosquito fleet's never been weaker. Admiral Cooper, who spent his entire career operating in the Strait, says these fleets used to come at you by the dozen. Today, they came in a little 6-pack, and we spanked all 6 with Apache and Seahawk gunfire. Not only are we lighting up their fast boats, we're seizing their tankers.
We then land on top of it, and we took over the ship. We took over the cargo, took over the oil. It's a very profitable business. Who would have thought we were doing that? We're like pirates. We're sort of like pirates.
The blockade's already turned around 50 Iranian ships, 50. Now, if we reopen the strait while the blockade is still in place, it's over. They have 0 cards to play. They'd be cornered at the negotiating table. The Iranians keep sending us proposals, but POTUS keeps just knocking them down.
We don't know who the hell we're dealing with. They call up, this is Mohammed so-and-so, and I say, are you a leader? We're looking for a leader. It's the only country in the world. Nobody wants to be a leader.
The president didn't want to wait around for Mohammed's next 14-point peace plan. Sources tell Axios he wants action, doesn't want to sit still. He wants pressure. He wants a deal. And Tehran made a big mistake today. Not only did they fire at ships, breaking the ceasefire, but they launched a handful of missiles and drones at our ally, the UAE. The Arabs knocked down all the missiles, but a drone started a fire at a key oil terminal. Luckily, they put out the fire. Iran was given a choice. They could either get strangled by the blockade while they watch the strait reopen, or they break the ceasefire and lob missiles at civilian targets. They made a poor choice because now the United States is probably going to finish them off. Sources tell Fox that we are closer to major combat operations than we were 24 hours ago. The commander-in-chief says we have more weapons and ammo at a higher grade than we had before. Generals say it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
I think it's more likely than not that we will return to combat operations to finish these guys once and for all. One thing I think we have to do is make certain that our CIA and our Mossad have got plans, and they're working them right now, to undermine this regime covertly and also assist the Iranian people. Because as this thing starts to break apart, the vulnerability of the regime and its leaders and lack of trust in one another, we can take advantage of that and also encourage the Iranian people to get out there.
Keen's pretty plugged in. He's suggesting that the final blow could trigger regime collapse and that intelligence assets are preparing the ground inside of Iran for a potential uprising. The Guard's vulnerable. They just missed payroll.
Their economy is in free fall, and everyone says they have the high tolerance for pain. Well, their soldiers will not have a high tolerance for not getting paid.
The regime made an enormous strategic mistake by bombing their neighbors, because their neighbors said, oh yeah, well, guess what? We just wiped out your bank accounts.
They really miscalculated when they started bombing their Gulf neighbors in a kinetic fashion, and in response, the Gulf neighbors, who I would describe as somewhat permissive in allowing Iranian IRGC money, Iranian regime money into their banking systems, have been very fulsome and come forward and given us the details and allowed us to freeze those assets.
The walls could be closing in. They can't sell oil, rugs, or pistachios. Meanwhile, we just sold $8.5 billion in weapons to Gulf allies. So if the war cost $25 billion, we already made back a third. Not bad. Trump's clearing the strait while he's slowly choking the gay Ayatollah in his sleep. Pretty soon, he'll head to Beijing with a strong hand.
We're leading China in AI. And I'm going to go see President Xi in 2 weeks. I look forward to that, but I'll say I'm leading. We have.
It's not just AI. We have the Chinese surrounded. We've been conducting board and seizure drills with our Philippine allies. And the 7th Infantry, for the first time ever, just fired some missiles from the Philippine island of Palawan right towards the South China Sea. Call it a little chin music for Xi. But who knows what's next? Anything could happen.
I have an update now. Jimmy Kimmel is bringing Barron Trump into this whole thing too, and Trump is pissed.
What's your message to Kimmel? Because I was shocked by this, that he brought Barron Trump into this equation by showing his photo when he said that Melania looked like an expectant widow. She had the glow of an expectant widow. They show Barron's face in that. What's your statement tonight to Kimmel?
I mean, I just think that Jimmy Kimmel has really fallen off the deep end. You know, none of this is funny. Comedy isn't funny anymore. You know, shows aren't entertaining and movies aren't entertaining anymore. And whenever you have to say things like that to engage your audience, you know, you basically, you might as well exit stage left. I don't think that the American people want to see this sort of thing, even the ones who didn't vote for Donald Trump. So I agree with Melania. I think Jimmy Kimmel, Melania and the president, I think Jimmy Kimmel needs to leave ABC.
I totally agree. Jimmy Kimmel is a loser. The funniest part about Jimmy Kimmel hating Trump is that Trump's actually doing extremely well right now. America is thriving in the world. People all around the world, if you have friends who live in other countries, they love Trump. It's just like liberals in America that don't like Trump. Mostly everywhere else, maybe not certain parts of like Northern Europe, but other countries, people love Trump. And America's thriving right now. Our stock market today hit a new all-time high. People are celebrating with all the accomplishments that Trump is doing. So it's like Jimmy Kimmel can whine and complain all day long, but it doesn't change the fact that Trump market is booming right now. And a matter of fact, President Trump is urging all of us to participate and celebrate with him. Take a listen.
You better go out and buy stock now. Let me tell you, this country will be like a rocket ship that goes straight up. This is going to be numbers that nobody's ever seen before. Rising market will do. Oh, it's going to get a lot higher.
I've been investing heavily into the stock market. My small little investment now has returned over $30,000. One of you guys even messaged me saying that you're up over 13 grand. If you want to begin investing, we have a totally free offer right now that we've never had before. I will leave the link below so you can sign up on your phone Or if you watch this on your TV, you can just actually take out your phone and point it at the QR code through your camera app, and you can find the link there too. You don't need any money to get started and take advantage of this economic boom under President Trump.